What is up, folks? Welcome to the latest episode of the Harold McBasketball Show. I am your gracious host, as always, Harold McBasketball, along with my co-host, I know Ball Paul. Paul, how are you, man?
Tired, but ready to podcast. I feel
Let's do
invigorated
it.
just by the thought of today's topic, which is trades. We've got to react to the Pascal Siakam trade, but only after we react to the bigger trade, which was, of course, Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers being shipped. The two teams that we've been going back and forth on who's going to be the worst team in the NBA. The
Yeah,
trades,
which
like,
which powerhouse is better, and it feels like, unfortunately, I feel like this trade may have really shifted in favor of the Wizards to where, this team is all of a sudden very legit with the talent that they've assembled on their squad. So there's still a lot of time left in this season, but I don't know, that little debate from the offseason might be swinging in your favor. We'll see.
yeah, I'm ahead 3 games. Oh wait, no,
I think that's right. I think I checked the other day. I think
yeah,
Wizards have 7 wins, Pistons have four. Because I saw the Pistons got a win without Kate, and I was like, oh, that's huge. Like, where are we now? So
yeah. Who
still
did they
three
beat?
games back, which feels monumental. But we'll see. I
They,
I forget who they beat.
yeah, someone
Someone they shouldn't have beat.
right. Do you want to
I
look?
I could
I'll do a
I'll
check.
do a quick check. I'll do a quick check. Yeah, let me see. Let me see.
Anyway, but Livers and Bagley for Muscala and Gallinari. I think a couple second round picks to Washington.
Oh, what do you know? It's the Pistons beat the Wizards. Huge.
Super interesting.
What do you know? What do you know? Maybe they are better.
The Pistons beat the Wizards. Right. Okay. Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know why. I don't know why I thought they beat some like awesome team because they were playing the Bucks. The Bucks yesterday. So I was like, was it the Bucks they beat? No, no, it most certainly was not.
Okay, but yeah, that's interesting. That kind of helps your case. Maybe when we
A
were
little bit, a little bit. I think when we were discussing it, we were definitely talking power rankings and like season rankings. So I think, in totality, the Wizards are still up on the season, but I don't know if I'm unwilling to give in at the end of the year. I think I can just pull that card and be like, well, who had the better head-to-head record in the regular season?
yeah. I cannot wait for you to pull that card. No,
I
it
will.
comes
I
to the
will. It's
record.
gonna happen. It doesn't matter anyway because the Pistons are gonna have a better record at the end of the season. Um, trade wise though, so full trade, massive blockbuster. I love that we have all these big trades happening like well before the deadline, which isn't until like mid-February, I think. Let's see. The deal was essentially Wizards got Bagley, Livers, draft considerations, probably a second or two. And then the Pistons got Gallinari, expiring contract, and Mike Muscala, also expiring contract. So really just a deal where the Wizards get Bagley to see if he has anything left, and the Pistons get two expirings in hopes that they can court Miles Bridges this offseason, who they have been infatuated with for years now, which I don't really understand why, but they're into him and they want to give him a contract. So we'll see.
I didn't know this. The Pistons are interested in Miles Bridges.
Yeah, and they always have been. So they're trying to clear cap space. They do want to sign somebody this summer. I believe as of now, Bridges is maybe not their leading candidate, but like the most likely candidate, assuming that other big superstars are probably not dying to sign with Detroit this offseason. But they do want him, and they actually wanted him 2 years ago too, before the incident essentially that had him out of the league for a year. But they were going to give him a contract that offseason. Obviously, it didn't work. Came back to Charlotte, but only on a 1 year deal. So he's going to be a free agent again this summer, and Detroit is still interested in him. I don't know why. It doesn't really seem like a great look, but they're into him. So I don't know.
I wonder if they've kind of distanced themselves from that obsession. Maybe not
They
though.
they have it. They're very recent reports that they're still interested.
Yeah, I mean
Detroit is desperate. They can't help themselves. They need to get players however they can.
they are. They're not a good look right now. Detroit. Even this trade, I'm kind of like Detroit. Like why? I
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too, because here, go ahead, give your reasoning.
no, I mean I get that it's a couple expiring, so it's like kind of whatever. But like you're giving away two second round picks, I think, and some draft considerations for like two vets that like I don't know, like they're not going to do anything for you, obviously, and
Yeah, they're never gonna play. It's like it's tough to tell. There's like I assume this move wasn't made in light of them being like we cannot be like this bad because they're on pace to potentially be the worst team ever in the regular season. So it's like maybe they made this move thinking that Gallinari and Muscala could help them get a couple more wins. I don't think that's the case. I think this is clearly just a cap space move. Because there's no way to think that these guys are gonna help them win any games. I don't think these guys are even gonna play for them. And they suck, but like I still don't see how this like tanking Pistons team is gonna like find minutes for these vets. Especially when they kind of play the same position as Bogdanovich, who's still like really good for them. He's like their only good player outside of Cade and Ivy and Durant. I don't know. I kind of like the starting lineup still,
Yeah,
but yeah, I just don't think they're gonna find minutes for these guys. So it's purely just a salary move.
Ivy is out of the doghouse now. They're actually giving him minutes.
Yeah, who would have guessed that this guy was good? Like, everybody was saying all season this guy is solid at least. That was a top 5 pick last year. Like, give this guy minutes over Killian Hayes. And Cade goes out, he gets the starting point guard job. And what do you know? He's good again. So I don't know. I hate their coaching staff.
Yeah, I think we can, you know, put this trade talk to rest. I mean, it's kind of a nothing burger. I mean, it's huge. It's
What do
super.
you mean? What do you mean?
It's so interesting that it's like it becomes a nothing burger. It kind of cancels.
My final note on it, and then we can move on to the less exciting Siakam trade. Is that Bagley actually looked really good in like the first 2 games. He had
Yeah.
20 and 10 in both those games. Gafford comes back, moving back to the bench. Very sad. I was like, I think Bagley looked pretty good. And if you're the Wizards and you're bad, why not kind of see what Bagley can give you in that starting role? So I kind of hope at some point he'll get it back because I think he actually did look like he could be a decent contributor for that team.
I'm surprised you dropped him.
Nah, my team's just so loaded. It's like I just don't have room.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that he played a game with Gafford, but still looks like Bagley could find a little role there. But
Yeah, it'll always be limited with Gafford there. I think though. I don't think this coaching staff is going to be. I don't know. I don't think they're making any big roster adjustments at least anytime soon. But we'll see. I hope so though. I think Bagley's at least shown something, which is intriguing.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So then the less kind of important trade was Pascal being traded to the Pacers for, I believe, Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, I've got it here, and
Yep.
three first round picks. Immediate reactions, Harry? I have a pretty strong immediate reaction myself.
I liked it, and somehow also it's like the Pelicans moved Kira Lewis in there just to I don't know mess around with salary. Who cares about that part? I like it. It definitely seems like a lot to give up for somebody on an expiring deal. Like 3 first round picks and Bruce Brown is a huge win for the Raptors because we've been saying that the Raptors had waited too long to get rid of their guys and they were essentially going to have to trade Siakam for pennies on the dollar because he's an expiring deal. So there's no guarantee that a team who trades for him now is going to be able to retain him in free agency. So I figured the asking price was going to be like maybe a first round pick, like a first round pick, maybe a player to fill salary, probably as good as you can do. But no, the Pacers jumped on it. They gave up 3 firsts and Bruce Brown, which feels like a lot, but they do get back Siakam and makes their team a lot better. And I think they were in a position to try to get better, try to get a little bit higher in the standings, with Halliburton being so good this season and the rest of the surrounding cast, fitting in nicely with him. So I think Siakam's a good fit. And although it feels like the Pacers gave up a lot, I weirdly don't hate it because they got the move done early. Like if this went to the trade deadline, it's like who knows? Like maybe people end up bidding up other teams. Maybe someone can put together a more competitive package and the Pacers just miss out on him completely. But essentially by like offering this amazing package so early in the season, the Pacers were able to get the Raptors to make this move before the deadline, which not only gets them Siakam sooner, but just guarantees they're going to get him. So I think it kind of makes sense for the Pacers as well in that aspect. And I just like the fit. He's a good player.
Yeah, I didn't consider that perspective of getting it done quicker because my immediate reaction was like, why Pacers? Just because they're gonna have to give him like a sizable contract this off season and 3 first round picks. Like I think when this team is still kind of figuring itself out for a player like Pascal, who I don't know, it's hard to see the fit with him and Hallie in my mind personally. This
I
kind of
I think Siakam's just a good basketball player. I wouldn't overthink it too much. I know he's probably not like the ideal like ideally they could have nailed this like defensive shooting star small forward, but like you just can't get those guys. So like everyone wants a player in like the Paul George mold, and you just can't get him. And when you do, it's like 8 first round picks. So like three
OG.
first round picks for OG. Ew. I think I'd rather have Siakam.
Yeah,
Um, and I assume also that there's some kind of like under the table handshake agreement
right.
that Siakam will re-sign with Indiana, because I don't think they'd ever give up this kind of draft capital without some kind of assurance that Siakam was going to stay. Obviously there's no guarantee because he is a free agent, but I assume that, agents spoke and were like, what kind of money do you need to stay here? Pascal, he gave them a number. They're like, let's do it. Like it's like a free agency, like it's done.
Yeah,
So I think because of that, they kind of view it as trading for more like a long-term contract, and he's a good player. Like he's immediately the second best player on that Pacers team, which is huge. He's just like he's a good overall player. Like plays good in deep, he's a good defender, um, decent passer, runs in transition really well, and like Halliburton's amazing at that. So having like a really good running mate with him is, I think, gonna be very exciting. The shooting is not amazing, but at least Turner can spread the floor with them. So I don't think it's going to tank the team shooting numbers dramatically. So I think they get better with the move. So I don't mind it.
yeah. You're talking me into it in terms of yeah. You're right about the under the table handshake and how, of course, the Pacers are fully expecting to for him to stay there, and I'm sure Pascal agreed to. And um, yeah, he is a great player. It's just maybe I just have to see them play together to see how this fits. But
Yeah,
Pascal being very ball dominant, next to Tyrese, who's also quite ball dominant. But I think they take turns, and I'm sure they'll find a way to work off of each other. Because, like you said, the Pacers definitely lack um, talent. They play super well together, but the next best player after Tyrese is not great. I don't even know who that would be. Turner, I suppose.
yeah, exactly. Like I think that they will be able to play off each other a little bit because Siakam is bigger, so I think they can probably just get some good pick and rolls going. And Siakam's really good going to the basket. Also, notably an NBA champion. Like he was really good during the Raptors run to the finals. Like this guy's legit. He's not like I wouldn't expect him to fizzle out in the playoffs. I do think he's like a pretty legit second star on the team, even if it's like a lower end star. So I like it. It's just kind of interesting to kind of like presume where the Pacers go from here. Because although this like gets them better, it probably puts them more in like the Cavs range. So it's like the next question would be like, all right, how do they kind of break through that next wall and get to the next place, especially when, now they don't have those picks to build through the draft anymore. So we'll see. Those have to kind of develop their talent from here on out.
Because I think the timelines are kind of weird as well, where Siakam, I believe, is about 30 years old. Tyrese maybe
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, but Halliburton's so good that I think they're like, we can win now with this guy. Like, we don't need to wait for Halliburton to be like 27 to start making moves to put other stars around him. Like, they probably view it as something almost like what the Celtics had going with like Tatum Brown. It's like,
All right.
we can get good players now, try to win now. If that doesn't work, 4 or 5 years from now, we can just overhaul the roster again. They'll have all their picks back by then, and then just figure it out again.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, once yeah, they can ride out the Siakam kind of wave, and Tyrese will be in his prime by the time that's over, and they can work something out from there. But yeah, I'm excited. If anything, the Pacers are going to be even more fun to watch. They have so many great pieces. We're going to kind of give some trade ideas down the road. Um, but this roster could still move around. I mean, Buddy Hield, Neesmith are kind of contracts that I think are very tradable and are players that I think
Totally.
Buddy Hield. There's always
Yeah,
room.
I think Hield's like a great guy to move, especially because this is Neesmith like has been so good for them. He's like one of like the best 3-point shooters on in the league this year. Volume isn't insane, but like he did come into the league as a sharpshooter, and he does seem to be, I don't know, seems to be legit. So I like what the Pacers are going on. I think they can start to build things out, and like also it's huge as the defense gets a lot better here. It's like because all of a sudden you're going from like Obi Toppin starting at power forward to Siakam, and Siakam and Turner down low is going to be really difficult for opposing teams to go against. And they're both fast too, so they can switch. They can
Yeah,
both kind of play on the perimeter a little bit on defense. So it's going to be a big boost on that end of the floor as well, which is awesome.
for sure. Funny you mentioned Obi Toppin. Obviously, we're big fans on the show, but kind of a disappointing season so far, where he's had more than enough
Yeah.
opportunity to show that he's worthy, if you will. And he's an NBA player. He's an NBA player, but he's not starting caliber, which I thought for sure he would prove at this point. So
Yeah, he showed flashes on the Knicks, and this was the year where he definitely had the big opportunity to take on the starting role, do more scoring, show off his athleticism, show he can hit the three ball, and yeah, just never materialized. I think he's just one of those players that looks really good in highlights, but just doesn't quite have a super consistent, cohesive game. So yeah, it didn't really work out, which kind of why they had to make this trade for Siakam, because obviously if Toppin did end up being a really good, legit starter, like they wouldn't have had to.
yeah. And on the flip side, the Raptors continue to, we've talked a lot about how we thought they had kind of dug themselves in a hole, and now they've made a couple nice trades. They look to be kind of straddling like rebuilding and also being like somewhat competitive, not horrible. I really like this roster. I think they've got great energy to it. I'm fully I've turned to Scotty Barnes, and I love him as a player now, and huge quickly guy. RJ, I'm still not super convinced by, but
R-
he's
RJ's been awesome. RJ's been incredible so far. The Raptors. We kind of need to see if he's going to keep it up because he always has been a little bit streaky, where he's got like a week or two where he's like on fire, great shooting percentages, scoring tons of points, getting defensive stats, which he does not always do. And then he has these lulls where it's like the efficiency's down, the defense isn't there, rebounding's not there.
yeah,
So we'll see if he can keep it up, but he looks good so far, and I think the expanded role is definitely good for his game. So I think he's going to keep it up. So I like this young core. I think it would do them, I think it would do them good to be bad for at least this year, probably the next year as well, because this draft class isn't going to be great. But I think it's a good jump start to the rebuild.
yeah. It'll be tough though because Scotty is an excellent player, and now they have some like pretty nice role players pieces.
Yeah, and Quickly's been really good from the trade. So it's like I don't know. Yeah, maybe they'll be too good to be like terrible, but we'll see. We'll see. I still feel like they're
I
also young though, so maybe they do just need another year or two to kind of like develop and grow a little bit. Maybe they don't even need to hit on another high draft pick to
Yeah,
become a playoff team again.
yeah. I think yeah they've got some of the pieces. They're maybe they'll need to find one more kind of thing, but I think kind of how the Celtics were in like 2015, where they're kind of starting to put the pieces together and still have some nice future picks to build onto that. But I
Yeah,
love
Quickly's
seeing
kind of the Rozier equivalent.
yes. But hey, you're the RJ Barrett expert. You have rostered him in fantasy maybe like 4 of the past 5 years.
I swear he's good.
So if you believe that he'll be consistent in Toronto, I'll buy that. Granted, maybe it's a bit of the bias as well in there. Maybe you'll
Definitely could be, but I don't know. I think it's almost like my RJ Barrett enthusiasm is what's causing all these draft him in fantasy, not vice versa, where my enthusiasm is fueled by my ownership.
right.
Because I don't know. I just feel like I watch him play. I'm like, this guy can just play basketball. I just always felt like he didn't quite get the opportunities playing next to playing next to Randall because he's just like so redundant.
Yeah.
Kind of similar players, just like bad efficiency, lefties, forwards. So I think he's in a great spot in Toronto, especially because like he's kind of the number one scoring option there. Because as good as Scotty is, he's not like this like 30 point per game scorer. He's more of this, maybe he'll score like 18, 20 points per game and then just do a ton of everything else,
Yeah.
like steals, blocks, assists, rebounds. But Barrett can legit chuck up the most shots in that team right now, which I think is really good for his game, as long as he's efficient.
For sure. Yeah. And it's cool to see him playing for a Canadian team.
He looks so good in the Raptors jersey. It's so clean. And it's just like it's too perfect with him being a Canadian. They just gotta get Jamal Murray now.
Yeah. 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 So I'm hoping the Raptors will be frisky. I'm hoping they make kind of a late push and maybe we see them in the play-in. I think at this point it seems hard to see that happening, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of I don't know. I weirdly I like this team. I'm enamored by this team. Every year I kind of just choose kind of a shitty borderline good team to just root for. Last year it was the Timberwolves. 1 year it was the Nets. I'm sure there's been some that have not worked out like those, but
I guess this means the Raptors will just be amazing next season. It feels like you're always a year too early.
I'm always a year too early. The Knicks was a big one too when they like finally made the playoffs. The year before, I was like, guys, I swear everyone's not buying it. So, anywho,
Yeah.
yeah, Raptors will be good next year.
All right, it's official.
All right. Any closing thoughts here? I also wanted to say their coaches. I forget his name. I think he's a Serbian guy. Um, he just seems awesome. I don't know. He like seems like good energy in that locker room. I've just seen clips.
Yeah, it's oh god, I'm gonna butcher this. It's Darko
Darko. That's a
Rajakovic.
sounds Serbian.
Rajakovic. Yeah, Darko Rajakovic. Yeah, I don't know. But like, yeah, the vibes are amazing in Toronto, and that's honestly huge because there's nothing like if you're gonna be rebuilding, at least be fun and have a direction, and like they have a direction now. The vibes are good. They've got fun young players. Unlike teams like the Wizards, where it's like, what are we doing here? Like, not only do we suck, but it feels like we have nothing to show for being this bad.
Yeah, and Quickly and Barrett, if anything, are very fun, energetic young players that I think bring a lot of good energy. So
Totally. And like we loved when the Celtics were that way. It was just like young players. We weren't great, but it's like we kind of get excited about
yeah,
the future. So yeah, I like what the Raptors are doing. I also think it was a really good trade for the Pacers. I think it was a good win-win. We've seen a lot of those this year. It's not always the case. Like sometimes teams blatantly get ripped off, but so far I think all the GMs have been doing a good job, which makes sense because it's been the Raptors always know what they're doing, so I would expect nothing less.
yeah, and the Pacers are also a good franchise, of course.
Totally.
Notoriously fleece the Kings. So
Classic.
yeah,
All right, dare we get into the trade machine? We concoct our own fleeces potentially.
we dare not get into the trade machine. In fact, we will make another video with our own trade scenarios. We're going to cut this up into 2 videos. So thank you for watching the Harold Make Basketball podcast once again. Please like and subscribe. That was our reaction to the Siakam trade. This is obviously post production. Yeah, we're realizing that we should have made 2 videos, and also in that no,
That's fine. We're clearly we're very bad at mapping out how long we think our podcasts are actually going to take. We always come to the table with a bunch of ideas, and then when we knock out like the first one, we're already an hour in. So yeah, to spare you guys the 3-hour podcast, we're making it 2 parts and deal with it. Still like and subscribe. Get us that bonus ad money. You know the drill. So yeah, lots of videos coming this week. So stay tuned.
Right. And a little spoiler in the we did the trade scenario video obviously yesterday. This is probably very confusing, but whatever. Harry predicted the trade that happened today, which we're not going to film another video. It's all fucked up, but Harry predicted the fucking Rozier trade verbatim, and it sucks because we're probably not going to post that one until maybe I'll just post.
We'll figure it out. I don't know. We would just post them all at the same time or something like that. I don't know. This is like the Memento movie where it's like the timelines are all like jumping around now all over each other. We're gonna be going back in time into the future, and y'all just have to deal with it.
But here we are saying this is the end of the Siakam and the Marvin Bagley, Isaiah Livers, Gallinari Muscala trade reaction video. Like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll drop the Terry Rozier official reaction. This is a mess, and then we'll also drop.
No, this is amazing. This is great podcasting. This is peak podcasting.
It's authentic. It's real. Anyway, bye.
Next video.
Next video.